like to call this meeting to order for the Grafton Public Library Board of Trustees. We are meeting remotely, so permit me to read the script for remotely conducted open meetings. As a preliminary matter, this is Aaron Vandestein, the chair of the Grafton Public Library Board of Trustees. Permit me that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Martin Essner.
Here.
Dana Wilson.
Here.
Daniela Sharma. I can't hear you.
Here.
Great. And staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Cindy Zariello.
Here.
And we'll wait till Beth comes back, but I believe her audio is working fine. Are our guests also looking to participate in the meeting?
Hi, Aaron. It's Allison Piccone. I'm listening and I'm not sure what's on the agenda because I did not read it, but I'd like to participate if I feel like I have something to say.
Okay, sure. So I will just confirm that you can, we can certainly hear you. So Allison Piccone, say here.
Here.
And Jane Burrow.
I'm here.
And Beth Galloway. Great. So good evening. The open meeting of the Grafton Public Library Board of Trustees is being conducted remotely consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12th, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted on the town's website at www.grafton-ma.gov, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. For this meeting, the Grafton Public Library Board of Trustees is convening by Zoom video conference as posted on the town's website identifying how the public may join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you and that take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials that have been provided members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted, and the public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless I note otherwise. We're now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I will introduce each speaker on the agenda, and after they conclude their remarks, I will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you're not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in colloquy with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. All right. I have the agenda up on my screen. So the item that we're going to address tonight is library reopening to the public. So as of recent information that came out post our previous meeting, so we met last Wednesday, and I think new information came out on the 30th. So based on that new information, I think it's best for us to have a discussion whether we should open the library to the public or not. So I'll certainly open the floor to any initial comments or remarks people would like to make. So we can go about this a couple of different ways. We could, if somebody has a pre-prepared motion they would like to propose, we could, they could make it and someone would second it, and then we could have discussion about it and vote, and then we could make amendments to the motion if we needed to. Otherwise, I fully intend for us to vote on something tonight.
Hi, this is Dana. I'm
Hey.
sorry you can't see me. Based on what I understand, it seems like we're going to have to open up, and we do know that, and under Beth's guidance and what makes sense, because we do know that we're going to have to be in the current location for another month being June. And then we're thinking if all goes well, maybe in the new space, we might be open by mid-August, but that's still, we have to see how it goes, because that's just a plan. But I think Beth, I don't know, to me, if Beth wants to suggest how much we should be open, because I don't know that. She knows that better than I do. But I think we're going to have to be open. I don't think we have any other choice, but of course we can do it based upon what we feel is safe.
Thank you, Dana. Beth did propose a plan to us that she'd written up some time ago.
Okay.
So certainly if you've had time to review that, I think if we want to make modifications or amendments, I think that's Beth's feeling on how we would open. The only thing I'd like to add is Stephanie, who couldn't be present at this meeting, she sent me a message and mentioned that, if we weren't, her feeling would not be to open up 100% at the beginning, and, perhaps open on like a weekend on a Friday, Saturday, something to that effect. But I know that Beth's plan for reopening, I believe what I read, just to kind of walk through a week of having how many hours, 58 hours of opening time, or what's our hours right now? Is it, I thought it was.
Yeah. So right now we're doing curbside and remote phone and email 10 to 4, 6 days a week. So we're operating 36 hours a week. So my suggestion would be that we open 6 days a week from 10 to noon. The first hour would be reserved for high risk or elderly. We would close to accommodate lunches, because if we're going to eat on site, we have to stagger staff lunches. And we also probably want to go through and clean high touch surfaces. So close then 12 to 2, and then reopen 2 to 4. So staff are still kind of there 10 to 4, but we wouldn't be doing curbside anymore. It would be come in to the lobby, get your items, self-check them, and leave. And then I would suggest opening 1 or 2 nights a week as well. So close again kind of for dinner or transition, clean high touch surfaces again, and then open like 6 to 8, 2 nights a week instead of 4. And a Saturday wouldn't have Friday, Saturday wouldn't have evenings. We'd do 10 to 12, 2 to 4. So I'd be adding in 1 or 2 nights a week. I'm looking for support and guidance. Like, you could say 1 night a week. You could say, you know what, no, we shouldn't be open Wednesdays. We should take a day to make sure staff can catch up on things that they need to do that they've kind of been used to doing without the public, tripping over the public. We still do have to prepare for moving, so it might make sense to open Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or some kind of schedule like that. So I'm open to suggestion for that. But I think trying to provide 4 to 6 hours of service, 4 to 6 days a week feels reasonable. I don't think we can open at 58 hours, and we would be limiting capacity. So I went and measured. I think that we could do 25 people at a time and limit 10 to the sanctuary where the adult stuff is, 10 to the children's room, 10 individuals or family, family groups, but 10 people. And then have 5 who might float, be in the lobby, go 1 in large print, 1 in YA, that kind of would be the setup.
Thank you, Beth. Go ahead, Marty.
Point of information, you mentioned that Beth had a plan in place or pre-written. Do we have that plan as a document? Is it it's not what was indicated in an email of May 5, or is it something other than that?
So there's a whole folder of documents that lists each phase based
Right.
on the original, like a year ago, phase 1,
Oh,
step
that-
1,
that-
2.
all right.
Yeah, so I'm recommending that we open in phase 3, step 2. And then I sent, I think, that link separately just to that document, because the link that I sent before was just a folder with all of those many documents. And phase 3, step 2 is the only one I went and revised. So there are other phases that we could open in, but you have to go into the document and look at them and review them and make that suggestion.
As a general proposition, where we are now and the recent holdings by the state, it seems to me that we ought to try to be open as much as we feasibly can on the one hand. On the other hand, we absolutely should open to the extent that we're required. The in-between part has to do with our perceived sense of the safety of our patrons and our employees. So that latter part, I think, for me, I have to look to you, Beth, to understand how the operations work and what you perceive to be the appropriate levels of safety for our employees and, of course, for the patrons. And wrapped within that, I just wonder, do we have any obligation to inform the public whether staff is vaccinated or not vaccinated? We have no obligation to advise them.
I don't believe we do. Nor do we have any. Vaccinations are not mandatory. I will provide
I
full
know.
support and encouragement, but staff can do what they need to do, and that is private information. So but I'm comfortable saying I'm fully vaccinated, and I'm recommending that staff still be on a scheduled shift just in case something happens. Then we are still on teams. But I would think that if fully vaccinated staff feel like, well, I'm already vaccinated, then and they want to be there more, that we should have that discussion as a staff, I think, for their comfort level.
Where I'm going, though, is if we need to make a decision tonight as an overview, and I didn't want to make it as a motion, but as an overview, try to do the most that we can. It says at least do what we're required. Try to do the most that we can, and consider as I said, the safety and welfare of the employees and the patrons. How we get there, I'm not too sure, but I've seen the stuff that you raised in your email, I thought was pretty solid. So that's sort of where I'm sitting on it right now.
Which is come in and get your stuff and go. Come in and browse and go. No hanging out. If you want to be on the Wi-Fi, we will try to make some computers available, but we're going to limit it to like 20 minutes and you'll be sitting by an open window. We prefer you to be on the Wi-Fi outside and printing remotely. The toys and manipulatives will not be out for kids to play with. It's really going to be, we've loved being in the past trying to get from an errand to a destination. And now I'm saying, no, I think we need to be an errand for now, with the hope that August 15th or whatever in the new building, we could make like face-to-face appointments for passport acceptance and notary and test proctoring, and sure, sit at the computer for 2 hours, but not right now.
Okay. So I want to leave this over to deliberation too, but I also want to get towards a motion that we can vote on as well. Now, one of the things that I've heard so far, partly from Beth too, was when you were kind of laying out the what a week might look like and trying to leave room for cleaning and having hours for high risk patrons and elderly who would like to come in the morning if that's conducive for them, and also leave time for staff to do things that are important for the function of the library, outside of visiting with patrons and helping. Now, to that end, is a schedule like that going to be too disjointed and confusing for patrons to know, when they can come to the library? If you're open from 10 to 4, but it's, kind of staggered. I guess what I'd like to see in the end is maybe we don't have kind of this disjointed schedule every day, but maybe we try to have a more solid block of time, half the week or something to that effect. Just trying to think of it's a Tuesday and I want to go to the library. Oh, well, they're not open to see patrons today. Okay. I can go tomorrow and get my stuff, that kind of a thing. Okay. Thank you. Dana.
When do we think the earliest that we could get this and we'd be able to do this? Are we talking that we might just do this during the month of June, or do you actually think you can get it, you can open it prior to that?
I think that we could do it in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Staff are here. We can also ask them. I don't think we need to move a lot of furniture. One of my preferences would be, we encourage patrons to self-check so that we don't have bottlenecks and so that staff are not as close. So yeah, I don't feel like I need to move a lot of furniture around if we go that route.
Okay, so 2 weeks would be like, I don't know, are you thinking May 24th?
Yeah, Monday the 24th.
That week of May 24th?
Yeah, I'm open. Yeah, end of the week is also possible. That was
Okay.
Stephanie's suggestion, right? Yeah, like a soft opening over a weekend. Could try that. I don't have a calendar handy, and if I switch,
Well, that wouldn't give you very
Switch it all
much
the way if I look
time
at it.
because today's the 10th, the 21st is
Yeah.
next Friday. So you might need more time than that. I'm not trying to push you. I think you should do it when we're ready. I was just trying to get a sense because we're really probably talking about 30 days is what I'm thinking, 30 to 35 days.
yeah, and really, I want to give the public the opportunity to come in and take materials because we're going to close for a month again and not have.
That would
any
help
time.
us.
And I
Okay.
think it would really help. It's also less to move, for the movers, so it might make that go faster. But we did unlimited checkouts before.
Okay.
That worked well.
Okay. I'd just like to add something, then I'll go to Marty. So I think what I'd like to see maybe come out of this meeting is, perhaps rather than trying to dictate how the library opens, perhaps, take Beth's guidance because she's the expert on her staff and the operation of the library. And, if we can say, okay, by next weekend, we'll be open to the public and set a date, I'd be happy to vote on something like that, as long as we agree that it's, appropriate to do so. With the understanding that Beth would, or we would be a support for Beth to determine the guidelines for opening, because I think, she relies on us as well for feedback on how best to proceed, right?
But would we have to meet again to vote on it?
No, I wouldn't anticipate it. Sorry, go ahead, Marty.
Sorry, Marty.
Theoretically, if I push my space bar, I'm supposed to be able to talk. It's good in theory. Do I understand that that we have the freedom to decide by what date we commence? My understanding was that there was a decision that we are to forthwith being moved to this opening. Is that so?
I didn't read it that way.
Oh, all right.
I thought that I saw something that the state was expecting most places to be open, libraries, everything, under whatever guideline by August 1st.
Okay.
But we've always been in a you know, the state thinks it's okay to move to this next phase if you are able to meet all of these requirements. And my feeling is, having
We can't.
read through the new guidelines, we are now in a place where we can't say, you know, if the state is saying 6 feet if you can do it, and masks if medically necessary, then, you know, I feel like we can open the windows and limit capacity and have people come in and take materials out and browse. So I feel like it's hard to hold the line I have been holding, which is we don't have enough space, we don't have enough ventilation. You know, I don't have enough staff who are, you know, able to come and work. I think we're not at that point anymore. And again, staff are here. You can beg to differ. Trustees beg to differ, certainly.
How do the staff feel? Do we know yet?
So I had a
Do
meeting.
they
I
want to
think
say
there's
something?
concerns
I mean, it
about how to
seems
manage
like
it, but
the only thing I think what Beth is saying makes sense. It's just that we are in a very old building that has horrible ventilation. So we can open, but we're going to have strict protocols to keep everybody safe. That's my view, because we don't know how many, you know, not everybody's been vaccinated, blah, blah, blah. So I think we still have to have the social distancing. We still need masks, and we'll have to open as many windows and just have less people. Because it would be terrible if any of our staff got sick right before we need to move and then go into the new library, which is going to be much bigger and much safer and have the state-of-the-art ventilation systems. So I would really look towards Beth's recommendations, and I would be conservative as long as we can open and, you know, the public can get in and get their books, because it will help us if they take books out and then we have less books to pack. Plus then they kind of, you know, the relationship is sort of starting again. I think they might really appreciate that we, even in this dire, you know, place that we're able to open. So that's my thoughts.
I'm prepared to make a motion. We
Okay.
entertain a motion, Mr. Chair?
Yep.
I move that the board approve the library reopening consistent with the new guidelines to the greatest extent possible, with due consideration of the health of patrons and staff, all in the discretion, reasonable discretion of the director of the library.
I second.
I second the motion.
Okay, any discussion?
Um,
Go ahead. Cindy.
Marty, do you have that written down, the motion?
I do.
Would you send it to me at some point? Because I think I missed some of it.
Sure, I can probably email it even as we speak.
Okay.
But I want to initiate the discussion on my own motion, if I may.
Yep.
My concern is whether the director wants all that discretion. Because there's a part of it that seems to dump it on her, and I don't mean to do that. But at the same time, it's my perception that she is best suited to make those judgments.
Yes, I'm happy with having that discretion, but also when I send out a link to the board and say, I'm looking for your feedback, I would really love either feedback or nope, you're good. So after this meeting, I'm going to go back through and revise it based on the comments that I've heard. Check in again with staff, talk about workflow, and, you know, maybe Erin, maybe it is better to be open 10 to 4, 3 days, and then close for a whole day. The guideline is to clean in between, but they've also said you don't need to clean as much. So, but yeah, if I can just, as long as I can get feedback when I ask for it from as many people as possible, or a nope, you're good, I really appreciate that.
I thought it was very well thought out, Beth. I did read it, but certainly, you know, based on what you've heard, you know, maybe another revision is worth taking a look at. Marty.
For the record, I commit to give you that feedback, our approval.
I
Okay.
do too. Dana does too. And I wanted to say, I think we have to realize that if Beth starts this and she realizes like, oh gee, you know what, I really do need to clean, then we're gonna have to, she's gonna, you know, if she needs to change the schedule, we're ready for that. That's okay. She's gonna have to see how things go and make adjustments as needed.
Thank you. Yes.
looking at the phase 3, step 2 document and comparing it to the guidelines you sent out by the state, are there any pain points, Beth, in terms of trying to mesh the two regulations or directives?
That's what I would like feedback on. I drafted a document that I thought aligned, that I think that we can do. But like I said, I may need to go in and specify, like, no toys and manipulatives will be out. You really will, there will be no seating. You can't hang out. And if that doesn't match the phase 3, step 2, then it will be phase 3, step 1. And I'll just have to revise it. But yeah, just as long as it doesn't as long as it specifies no hanging out, I think we'll be okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the only other thing we have to remember that we're a different library. We're not a Westboro, we're not a Shrewsbury. So we have a different environment. If we have people coming in saying this one and that one's open, we're able to do this and that. We just have to remember that.
Yeah. I did hear at our meeting today, staff aren't speaking up, and I don't mean to speak for you, but I did hear a concern, like, are we going to have to enforce mask wearing by patrons? And my response, and what I wrote into the document, was masks are required. If for whatever reason you can't wear a mask, whether that's medical or just preference, or you're vaccinated and you feel like you don't have to, then I would like to hold the line that we can't serve you by having you come into the building, but we will deliver items to your home, or we will switch to curbside for you, but you can't come in. So I would like, I guess, I don't want that to be a pain point. Like I said, the guideline says unless necessary, and I'm assuming that to mean, somebody has sensory issues and can't put it on, or it inhibits their breathing to the point where they can't wear it and they've already had to deal with that. But it does mean like putting a staff person at the door to count people coming in and say, no mask, no service. And I'd like support around that.
Yeah. So I had a similar discussion at work today, and I'm a consultant, so I visit different clients. And what I found was interesting is that businesses kind of adopt different policies based on what they feel is appropriate for their business. And Daniela's point, where does your policy start to clash with what are the pain points, right, between the I guess the directive, right? So where I feel that is certainly surround mask usage, because I think it says, and I said I think it says, okay, so don't quote me on this. If you're vaccinated and there's other people are vaccinated, you don't have to wear masks with those people. And I was seeing kind of a lot of that when I was visiting my clients, and I wondered, like, how do you know who's vaccinated, who's not vaccinated? So this mask order in this policy is fantastic. I mean, no matter if you're vaccinated or not, you want to carry the card, fine, you still need a mask to come in the library. So I'll support that.
I will too. Jane wants to talk.
Yeah, sure. Jane, please.
I didn't know if I was allowed to talk. I have a little bit of an issue with a few things with reopening. I'm concerned about the airflow because I've spent a lot of time sitting at my desk on the little stage area, and there isn't airflow. Even with the windows open, there's not airflow. The overhead ceiling fans look like they move air, but doesn't seem to make a difference. And the children's room is equally air-free. So that concerns me. Another concern is that we have definite bottleneck areas. When you first come in and you're going to make the right-hand turn to go into what would be the sanctuary, that space is very small, and I'm not sure how we will keep that from being a place where the patrons want to congregate because they can see us, and it's exciting to see us. I'm not sure why, but it's exciting to see us. And they will want to stop and try to talk to us. And then if they go on their merry way on down past where the computers are, at some point they have to come back through that same area to check out. So we could have people coming and going through that same area. And I'm not sure how that will work out. But those are my big concerns that I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Yeah, I mean, airflow is certainly one of the biggest reasons why in the ability to social distance in that building is one of our major concerns and why we've, waited this long. In fact, last week, we didn't even vote to open the library. So, but now with the new information about vaccine, this is why we're having this discussion on how to do it safely. Yeah,
I
please,
mean,
go ahead, Dana.
is the only way to do it by curbside, not curbside, but just you come to the library, you're outside and we physically bring you your books so you don't have to pick them up. I don't know. I mean, I hear what Jane's saying. It's a mess. I mean, not unless, I don't know what the solution is, but besides doing what we've been doing. If we got different air conditioners in there or fans, would that help? If we could buy some or rent some, that's not going to help.
So perhaps
Okay.
perhaps what would be helpful here is, I'd be happy to volunteer to advise with Beth on behalf of the board to kind of talk about how to do this safely. And if somebody wants to join me, that's great. Because, and if it gets to the point where she says, Aaron, I can't do this safely, then we'll hold another special meeting and, then we'll bring it up to the board again for another vote. But I think that's probably the best path forward. So any other discussion? Yeah, Beth?
I guess I'm no longer seeing like airflow and again, the social distancing has changed from 6 to 10 feet to 6 feet if you can. So to me, I think that's why I was like, all right, then we need to talk about this, because what I'm reading, my interpretation of those guidelines is the bottlenecking isn't an issue. People will have to, because it's if you can, so people will have to like wait to get by. And we'll still have markers on the ground, but I'm not getting a sense that I can, like I said, that I can say, no, we can't do this anymore because the guidelines changed. We can open windows. We can also, I thought that there is a desk that faces that bottleneck area that Jane's talking about. We would move that one desk to face a different direction. Heidi and it's Ranjita and Jane, they would all like face out instead of somebody facing that bottleneck. And we would have signage and a block, like a cart. So people would have to go around and get out of that bottleneck space to talk to a staff member who is now like up on the stage. There's a bar that prevents them from getting too close, including a lip. And then you would also have the plastic barrier. And without, you can have a conversation with somebody about, oh, I still have a fine on my card. My account is expired. I need a new card. But if they want to check out, like we're not going to be passing things back and forth. It's going to be go around to self-check. So that's why I'm feeling comfortable with it. But I hear your concerns and appreciate you raising them. And again, we have windows. We can certainly put some fans in. It's also spring. We can keep doors open in a way that we really couldn't during the winter. And again, if everybody is wearing their double mask, I think the airflow is less of a concern, and we'll continue to provide those for staff and the public.
So just one follow-up comment, Beth. How's the heat if you were to open the windows, are you able to crank the heat so people aren't freezing their butts off or have to wear jackets if it gets cold? It's been pretty cold.
Yeah, we can turn the heat up, but
yeah,
it's like it's 65 degrees.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Room temp is 60 to 68.
And you really, so that I understand, Beth, it's like once we figure this out, curbside goes away.
Yeah,
But you can come into the building and get your stuff and go. Like if I want to just come in, grab my stuff and run out, I can do that.
I don't think we can do both, and here's why.
Okay.
If we don't have curbside anymore, then everyone gets an automatic email when their hold comes in, and they can come anytime at their convenience that we're open to walk in, grab their items, check them out, ask the librarian a question if they need to, and walk out again. But with curbside, we can't have the automatic email come in. So that means every time we check an item in, instead of just slapping the slip on the book and putting it on the hold shelf, now we have to contact the patron and have a 2 to 3 email or phone call transaction to track them down and assign them a day to come. And I just think it's too much for everybody to do both of those services. But I'm willing, like I said, to continue to incorporate it for No, I just can't because I can't wear a mask and I'm not coming in. Fine, we'll throw your 3 items in a bag just for you.
Well,
I don't-
it sounds to me like it can almost be contactless if no contact, if that's what the person wants. I just want to come in and get my books.
Yep.
I'm going to check them out and then I'm leaving.
Yeah, the hard part is Grafton items are RFID. The self-checks will read a barcode from any other library, but patrons just need to either check in everything by barcode or be able to differentiate. This says Grafton, this doesn't. I can put my stack of Grafton items, bing, 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 they'll check out, and now I have to hand check a hold from another library. But
Maybe we
there'll
could
be a
have,
person in the lobby
yeah,
letting people in who will help
Yeah.
with that. And again, I'm
Okay.
fully vaccinated. I'm happy to be that person standing there, 3 feet away from somebody else in a mask, in my mask, helping them to check out. A couple hours a day. Can't do it all day.
Well, you could have directions about that.
Yes.
Because this is great for them to get used to self-checkout, because that's what we're gonna really want them to do that in the new library as much as possible.
And
for
we
the
did do it
renovate-
we did do it in the past, but the rule was if it wasn't a Grafton book, bring it to a staff member. So I would like to now train the public in that next step. No, you really can check this out yourself. And read the screen.
Great. Any further discussion? Marty?
I call the question.
You call the question. I don't know what that means.
I call for the termination of discussion and a vote on the motion.
Oh, sure. Okay, great. All right, so all in favor of Marty's motion to reopen the library at the discretion of Beth's reopening guidelines to do so in a safe way. All in favor, aye. Aaron, aye. Marty?
Aye.
Dana?
Aye.
And Daniela?
Aye.
All right, very good. Well, thank you. Marty, please.
Just a point for Cindy. I don't have your email address. I've sent an email to Beth to forward to you containing the text of the motion. Got it? Good.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So I will say that, Beth, I'm right down the street and I can, I usually get off at 4 or 5 o'clock some days, and I'd be happy to come for a visit to the library too. Once you've kind of worked out a general plan and just review it with you, I'd be happy to do that.
Okay, well, I'm there tomorrow night for a
Mhm.
meeting, so tomorrow night would be great.
Yeah.
Because I would like to hash it out.
Yeah.
Yep,
We'll
we
have
can
to
talk offline.
Yeah, we'll talk offline.
Okay.
Very good. Okay. Well,
Okay.
thank you, everyone. And Allison and Jane, thank you for joining. Would you like to say a few things about yourselves, or those the trustees who you haven't met before? Generally, we have 7 of us. So tonight we're missing Stephanie Texera. She's running for her first position on the board. Right now she's appointed. I'm also rerunning, and Doug Bowman is rerunning again too. So he's also missing.
And Karen.
Yes, Karen. 7. Yeah.
I can still add.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Alice, and I believe I've met all of you except for Martin and Stephanie. So I look forward to meeting you in person someday, Martin.
Well, I won't be offended, Allison, but we have met. And
Well, you look very familiar. And your voice and everything.
everyone says that, Allison. No, we met in the library months and months ago, but it's
Yeah.
fine. Thank you. I hope to see you again.
Yeah, and I talked to you on the phone too, because you do place holds on books.
Okay,
I've met everybody except for Martin, although I've talked to you on the phone when you were needing to pick up a hold.
Well, I hope to meet you soon, Jane, and I don't really recall that I've talked to you on the phone, but yeah, I'm sure it was unpleasant. I'm sure it was a pleasant experience for me.
Oh, of course. You have about a 1 in 4 chance of getting me if you call the library,
I
and 1 in 4
typically,
chance of getting Allie.
I typically get Heidi when I call. But Jane, did you attend the appreciation night at Daniela's house a year and a half or so ago?
Yes.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
I missed it.
Yeah, when we could all get together again. Daniela was doing some party tricks.
That was
Yeah.
amazing fun.
I
I
can't.
think we'll have a lot to celebrate, so let's do it. We'll be at different people's homes.
Mhm.
Yeah, I have a new sword to try out, so let's do it.
Nice. All right. Well, any further discussion? It was great to see everybody. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'm making a motion to adjourn. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Okay. And
I
motion made
second.
and seconded. All in favor? Aaron, aye. Marty? I can't hear you, Marty. Dana
Aye.
and Daniela.
Aye.
All right. Great. Nice to see everyone. Take care.